banging.
Attain. That's a big word for me.
That is.
I can't even spell it. It's that big.
The other week we saw the European Super League hit the headlines, and oh my word, did it cause some uproar. I mean, there were riots, there have been some backlash, let's say.
It's been controversial.
It really has. And this little mini podcast, we're going to be talking about what the European Super League, the ESL, taught us about greed.
Yeah.
So, Joel, how would you define greed to begin?
Oh, greed. I think a greed is a desire to attain more than you need for yourself.
Yeah.
Wow, that's off the top of my head. That's pretty good.
That was banging.
Attain. That's a big word for me.
That is.
I can't even spell it. It's that big.
Wow, it's not even that big. But yeah, like greed, and the European Super League uncovered the greed of so many different chairmen and the boards of executives on some of these football clubs, and it caused a lot of uproar, which I was a little bit struck by, is just how much anger there was
controversial
about people seeking more and more and more.
Yeah,
and interesting where people draw the line. Like
absolutely.
If people are attacking my football club for greed, suddenly I hate greed. But if I'm keeping stuff for myself, anyway, we'll get into that a little bit later. So I think on reflection, what the ESL taught me about greed is that it is so prevalent in this culture at the moment in the UK and kind of across the Western culture of the world. It is so big, and where it comes from, I think, is like this desire for more and more money. It's I say it's actually a fear of like not having enough success and not having enough security in our lives. And so we go after like trying to seek as much money as possible to try and get more and more success and security, like security in simple things like food, water, housing, and even security in like friends and fun, and then success socially, and approval, like trying to find approval in having money. And what we see as Christians is that God tells us that we have security in him. We looked at this last episode looking at Jake Paul and having confidence in God, which was really, really awesome. And so we see as Christians that God tells us that we have our security in him because we are fully loved by him. And what we see then in this culture is then two different conflicting views. One view saying you need to find your security and success in money, so you need to go seeking more money, and that's where greed comes in. And then there's God view saying, you are fully defined and loved in me, and you find security in me, so just come and find more and more of me. And so we hit this big fork in the road, really, where we get to choose between God and money. And in the Bible, Matthew 6 verse 24, Jesus talks about this. He says that no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. And this is that is so countercultural then, and even more so now as well.
Absolutely.
And I think what Jesus is trying to teach us here is, where are we putting our love and what are we worshipping? That's kind of what this greed uncovered, is the things that people worship. And these people at the top of these massive clubs in Europe, they were worshipping the desire for more money and more success for their club, but maybe that's not what people wanted. And so as Christians, we have this choice between what we worship as in the world, money, and what we worship as in God. And it kind of creates a real difficulty on, well, how do we show what we truly worship as Christians? And I think God teaches us that we can give to God to show that we do not worship money. Like thinking about giving and tithing recently in church, and how we give our money away as proof of like, I do not hold on to this to try and store it for myself. I give it away. I give it to others. I give it to the work of the church because I know that I do not need to keep it for myself, because I am found my security is in God.
Absolutely. And what a great opportunity to reflect on yourself and to look within yourself for the ways that you're greedy. Now, I doubt if you're listening to this, you're a billionaire football club owner. Maybe so. Stan Kroenke, hit me up. But it's a time to reflect on yourself. Like, where do you find security? Do you find it in having money? Do you find it in other things which are attainable, such as having more friends, more followers, things we've spoken about already? Or do we find it in Jesus? Ultimately, we all find things like security and affirmation and love from things which aren't necessarily healthy. And it's a great time to reflect, think, in what ways am I greedy in my life? In what ways do I keep for myself more than I need? In what ways am I selfish? In what ways do I not look to people who are in more need than me?
Yeah.
And although we may not be billionaires, we all do it in little ways. And I think in some ways that's what makes people so uncomfortable. The whole thing is that we see ourselves in the actions of other people, and that's what makes us uncomfortable.
And we don't like it.
No.
Because it's interesting when we think about billionaires is, they're kind of a new concept. And I think soon, especially in our lifetime, we'll see trillionaires. I think it will just keep going up and up and up. There will never be enough money for people to have. And that's something like, when will enough be enough? Like, when will enough money be enough money?
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever find it in money, because I don't think money can really give us what we're looking for. It can't give us contentment, because it's a worldly commodity that you can always store up. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for fulfillment and contentment in money, it will never end.
Yeah.
Like that hole within yourself or that space will not be filled by money, because there is always more money to have.
Yes.
And that's on the small scale and the big scale.
Yeah.
Because once you've provided for yourself, there's your children to provide for. Once you provided for your children, there's your children's children and your children's children's children's. And then there's also everything else you need to be more happy, like the next materialistic thing, or be really nice went on this holiday or that holiday, or if I had this thing or that thing.
Yeah.
Or if I just had this thing, it made me feel better. When actually there's no end to that.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no end to that.
And I think this is because money is a finite thing in the world. We can never have enough of it. We can just keep pursuing more and more and more. But when we look at God, like God is infinite. We can seek him, and we can find true contentment, because he is the one that can really fill that hole that we have in our heart. And I think that is the hole that drives this greed that we see. And as Christians, we know that God is the only thing that can truly fulfill that.
Absolutely. If you found this video helpful and insightful in your walk with Jesus, then please do give us a like. Put a comment down below for some topics you want us to discuss, or something that you would like to add to the conversation. And it'd be amazing if you subscribe to see what other videos we've got coming out on Redefine.